Cindy Bridges, and I'm from the AACCESS office, which is the advisement office. It used to be called SAS, but we've changed our name, and so it now is AACCESS. I wouldn't even really begin to try to explain the whole name, but it's I messed up already. It's Advisement and Academic Coaching Center for Empowering Student Success. So that's the long drawn out name, but you can just call us AACCESS or the Advisement Office. I'm going to talk to you a little bit today about several things, but we're going to start with the yellow sheet that I handed out to you. And this sheet tells you a little bit about the degree programs that we have here, as well as how to find your advisor. You'll be needing to meet with your advisor soon. You'll see posters going up all over campus. You'll receive a postcard reminding you about what we call Ask Week, which is a special week set aside for advisement to get you ready for early registration, which will be coming up the third week of November, right before Thanksgiving holidays. And so we want to make sure that you're ready for registration. One of the perks of being current students is that you get some of the first shots at registering for your classes for next semester, and we don't want you to miss out on that opportunity. So on the yellow sheet, just kind of going over a few things, the slide that has all the degree programs listed, it says Missouri State students, West Plains, Mountain Grove, China along the top. This sheet is a good summary of all of the degree programs that we offer here on West Plains campus, from the Associate of Applied Science degrees to the transfer degrees. That includes the Associate of Arts and General Studies, which is the worksheet that I handed out to you, and we'll talk more about it in a moment. It also has the nursing degree program, and then some of the information about the Springfield degrees that you can get here as well. So this is kind of a guide for you to talk with your advisor about what degree you're seeking, what you want to do with that degree. And you'll notice in that little box at the top, those are the first two questions that you might want to talk with your advisor about. What degree are you seeking? What are you going to do with that degree? Because sometimes those things don't match. We find that students are in the database seeking a particular degree, but maybe that doesn't really match with what they're wanting to do. And so we want to make sure that we help you get those aligned. Then, the third question, under what catalog year were you admitted? That's more important than you might think. I brought the catalogs today from, this is the fall 2013, spring 2014 catalog. So if you started classes this semester, if this is your first semester with us, you're under this catalog. Now, why that's important is because this is kind of like your contract with the university. It's going to outline the policies, the procedures, also the degree requirements for whatever degree you're seeking. So if you don't know what catalog to follow, you might be taking the wrong classes, you might be taking extra classes, that sort of thing. These do change year to year. You don't need to get a new one every year. Sometimes students think that they need the latest one. That is not correct, but if you sit out more than one semester, when you come back, you would be under the new catalog. And so if you are out one semester, that's okay. You're still under the same catalog. But if you sit out like a year, then you have to follow the new one. And so make sure that you're talking with your advisor about what catalog requirements you need to meet. Now, the other thing that you might want to do, if you know what you're planning to do beyond the associate's degree, so if you have a pretty good idea already about what you want to do for your bachelor's degree, get a copy of the catalog for the university that you plan to transfer to. This is MSU's catalog. It's the last one that they actually printed, so it's a couple of years old. Now you just go online and you print the program that you plan to seek. But it can give you an outline of that bachelor's degree program. And then if you're needing to get specific classes within your associate's degree, again, your advisor here can try to help you get those things done while you're doing your general education requirements and save you some time and save you some money later, making sure that you get the right sciences, the right social sciences, the right math class, those kinds of things. So make sure you're talking about all those with your advisor. Now, I believe Donna Bassam is going to come in and talk from the financial aid office, and that kind of brings us to that fourth question. Do you know how many hours you need for financial aid? Sometimes students come in and tell me, well, I don't really know. I want to be full-time, but that's all I know. Well, you need to look a little bit further because some scholarships might require you to complete 15 hours each semester or a total of 30 hours per academic year. A+ scholarship has very specific guidelines on what they expect for you to take as far as your number of hours. Even FAFSA, Pell Grant, is going to adapt to the hours that you take. So again, those are important things to consider when you're doing your schedule. So make sure you're talking with your advisor. That's the main thing we want to have you go away with today is the importance of building a relationship with your advisor. Don't just meet with them once a semester because you have to set up your classes for the next semester. We're there to talk with you about any kind of problems you might be having with classes now, any kind of questions you might have about your future plans. When it comes time to transfer, we're there to help you kind of smooth that process along too. The other side of the sheet, who is your advisor? Well, right now, we're in the process of getting postcards out to students reminding about Ask Week, and on the front of that postcard it will say your advisor's name. But if for some reason, because I know that happens sometimes, if for some reason you don't get the postcard, your address has changed or something, or somebody else got the mail and didn't pass it along to you, that kind of thing, I want to show you where you can find it in Grizzly Den. So however you decide to get to Grizzly Den, there's several different ways, but once you get logged into Grizzly Den, and you're under the My Enrollment tab, because that's where you're going to access most of your student information. The second link here in the middle in this registration box is My Advisor. And so if you click on that My Advisor link, it will show you the name of your advisor, their contact information. It will even have a link to their notes. So if your advisor is putting notes in after you've talked with them and you forgot something, maybe you forgot, what did they say about that one class I was supposed to take for this degree? Then go and look at their notes summary and see what they've put in there. The other thing that you can see, besides your advisor's name, you can be checking about what degree you even have listed in the system. I have students all the time come in and say, I really don't know. I marked something on the admission application, but I really don't know what degree I'm under. Well, you can check that in two places. You can either click on degree evaluation or academic transcript, and either one of those will have that degree information there for you. If you find out that it's not correct, there's a process that you have to go through to correct that, and that is filling out a form, either with your advisor and then have them send it over to the registration office, or you can physically go over to the registration office and have them change your degree program. A couple of other things. Under registration status, which is the next link, that's really important, especially as registration comes closer. Registration status is where you can see if you have any holds on your account. And holds can be really frustrating when it comes to time to register, because maybe you plotted out this perfect schedule of all the classes that you need, the times that you wanted to take them, and then you get in to Grizzly Den to register on your day to register, and it blocks you because maybe you have a parking ticket you didn't pay yet, or you have a library fine, or you owe a balance on your fall classes, because all of those holds will be put on or can be put on at any time. The balance holds, if you still owe money for this semester, those will be put on right before it's time to register. And so like if you check today and you don't see that you have any hold on your account, that could change between now and when it's time for you to register. So make sure that you're keeping track of that. Let's see, if you registered at STAR, maybe you remember this, but I also know that's kind of a chaotic day and it's been a little while and you've focused on other things since then. But down about halfway through that list of links, there's a link that says look up register for or drop classes. That's actually where you'll go in to register. And it's kind of self-explanatory after you get in there. You just follow the links. Make sure that you select the correct semester, though, that you're registering for. Make sure you pick Spring 2014. If it has a Spring 2014 Dali on campus, don't pick that one because it will let you register for China campus, but it'd be a heck of a commute. Dennis just got back from China. He knows exactly how long it is. But it can create some problems if you accidentally pick the wrong semester, so make sure that you are careful about that. Once you have registered, don't just assume that you got what you thought you did. So always go in and look at one of your schedules, either the detailed schedule or the week at a glance, even if you don't print it out right then. Look at it and make sure that you did register for everything that you thought you got. I had a student one time that thought they had registered for like a morning history class, an 8 o'clock history class. And it turned out when it was about a week or two before classes started, she went in to actually print her schedule, and she said, "What? I didn't register for this evening history class." And so she had to come in then at about a week or so before classes started and try to change her schedule. And, of course, everything she wanted was full, and it really created a problem. So make sure that you're checking that you didn't make a little error, because it's really easy to mistype a number in those codes for your classes. If you haven't done so already, please be checking your midterm grades. That's really easy to do right here in this section. Just, again, select your term, hit go, and it'll pop up all your grades for midterm. Again, at final grades, you can do that too. I had a couple of students come in and say, "I'm missing some grades on there. What's going on?" Sometimes if your list is too long for it to show in that little box, there will be a More button, and you have to click it to see the rest of them. Let's see. I think that's probably all that I really need to talk about as far as advisement. Now, you notice on that screen you can also get access to your financial aid information, which, again, Donna Bassam may talk more about that. Your account information is over here on the right-hand side. So basically, you get in Grizzly Den, you can access all of your student information. Okay, so let's move on to the Ask Week page. You guys get your own individual Ask Week poster. These are going up all over in larger size, but we wanted you to have one of your own so that you can go in and circle when your date to register is. Again, it's really important that you register on time so that you can get the best selection of classes. If you are in a special population group, so if any of you are in the honors program, you'll be assigned a special code number that allows you to register the very first day of classes. The other special population groups are athletics, the nursing program, respiratory therapy program, early degree program, veterans. I don't think I'm leaving anyone out. If you have special accommodations with Pam Tate down in our office, then you also can register that first day. Other than that, it goes by how many credit hours you have completed. So you don't get a count once you're currently in, but say you already had some summer classes completed, but this is your first full semester, then you might be able to register a little bit earlier than other first-time freshmen. So make sure that you pay attention to the scale there of when you can register. It always stays the same as far as the increments there. Students with 45 hours or more register on the second day, and it goes on down to first-time freshmen registering the Friday of that week. Don't think that, oh man, I don't get to register till Friday, all the classes are going to be gone. As long as you're registering during early registration, there might be a few classes that are full by the time you register, but you're going to get a very good class selection. Now, if you wait until after we come back from Thanksgiving into the first part of December, your chances of getting the classes that you want are dwindling, because we'll start having a STAR orientation for new students, and those classes will start filling up quickly. So just try to register as early as you can. Anybody have any questions about Ask Week or how to find something on Grizzly Den?
I said 5 plus, then 5 more plus.
That is a very good question, because it makes it look like it's above 5, doesn't it? But it's whatever that benchmark is, 5 or more. Yeah, we should have a greater than or equal to sign, right? Yes, and they are completed hours, remember. So, for instance, if you had 6 hours in the summer and they're already completed, then you can register a little bit earlier. You can register on November 21st after 1 o'clock instead of having to wait till the 22nd. Right. If you're eligible to register, for instance, on November 20th after 1 o'clock, as soon as it hits 1 o'clock that day, you can go online and register, as long as you have met with your advisor and either gotten your alt-PIN code, which is a 6-digit code number, or some of the advisors will just release the code, and then you don't have to actually remember the number. But you do have to have your advisor release you to register. And so you please remember that. Don't call last minute at 1:01 and say, I can't register because I haven't seen my advisor yet. What do I do? It's like, well, you got to meet with your advisor first. And we're not doing that to try to be mean. We're trying to help you. We want to make sure that you're getting the correct information so that you don't take classes that you didn't need, that kind of thing. Because sometimes students want to build their schedule with their friend, which I can understand that, but make sure that you're needing the same classes because they may be doing an entirely different degree than you, or their future plans might be different than your degree plans, so might not match up perfectly. Okay, so I've just got a few more minutes, but I wanted to talk to you just a little bit about these two sheets that I handed out. The General Studies worksheet, of course, everyone is not doing that degree program, but enough of our students are that I like to use it as the example. And then the program planning guide kind of goes along with that. Your degree worksheet will help you know the overall requirements for your degree program and help you keep track of what you're getting done and what you still need to do. But the program planning guide helps you to plan the whole thing out as far as how am I going to make this happen, semester by semester, to graduate. And some of you, I know, have a very specific time frame that you want to graduate. Because sometimes I'll have students come and tell me, well, I have to get done in 2 years. How can I make that happen? And I say, okay, let's make a very specific plan for getting your degree done then. Because sometimes you may have a class that you need to take that's only offered in this fall or in the spring. And so we need to make sure we've got that plan in the correct place. Also, if there's any prerequisites to that class, something that you have to have done before you can take it, we need to make sure we've got a plan for that. We may need to look at taking summer classes for you to have enough time to get that degree done in your time frame. Sometimes students tell me, well, it doesn't really matter to me. If it takes 2 to 3 years, I just can only go 12 hours a semester. And I say, okay, that's fine. Let's look at that then and see how long it's going to take to get the degree done. So again, communication is the key. Make sure that you and your advisor are on the same page about what your goals are, time frame wise and degree wise. There's a kind of a guideline on the back of the General Studies worksheet as far as selecting your classes. Notice that this is based upon finishing in 2 years but taking fairly heavy loads, 15 to 18 credit hour loads. So again, if you're taking lower numbers of hours each semester, you may need to plan on summer classes. If you started in a math lower than college algebra level, like if you started in intermediate algebra or maybe math 20, then again we need to make a plan for that, getting that math sequence in. Things like reading, study skills, English 100, those kinds of things, those can all sometimes add a little bit of time to your degree program. The other thing that I want to mention about those classes, on the worksheet, notice that if you're doing the General Studies the General Studies degree, and on the worksheet at the bottom, it has a section there for electives. And I always talk to students about this because sometimes that's a little bit, I don't know about misleading, but it's maybe a little bit difficult to wrap your mind around because sometimes you can use classes there that weren't true electives. You didn't choose to take them, but maybe you had to take them based on placement. And so things like English 100, Reading 125, Math 103, IDS 112, and English 101. Any of those classes, those hours that you complete for those classes, can be used to fulfill some of those elective hours. And so you don't need a total of 62 plus all of those classes. You can use those classes to help you get to the 62 hours. Now, having said that, if you started in Math 20, hours from Math 20 and Math 30 do not go toward your 62 hours. So make sure that you're remembering that to add on those hours to the 62. So down below it, it says if you started in Math 20 or are doing Math 20 and Math 30, then that adds to the number of hours you have to have for your total. The other thing that I'll point out on your degree worksheet here is that for some of these areas you have a lot of choices. So like humanities, social sciences, natural sciences, they just say that the requirement is a certain number of hours in those groups. So humanities and social sciences both say 6 to 9 credit hours, but down below that it says select courses from 2 different areas, and if you do 6 hours of humanities, then you do 9 hours of social sciences, or the other way around. If you do 6 hours of social sciences, then you have to have 9 hours of humanities. Again, this is the time when you want to talk to your advisor about your future plans. For instance, if you're wanting to go on to elementary education, that degree requires very specific requirements in those 2 areas. And so we want to help you make sure you get those. They require very specific natural sciences as well. So even though down here in that area it says 8 hours, again selected from 2 different areas, and at least one of the classes has to have a lab. So all that knowledge can help us make sure that you're getting the correct classes that will help you further your future plans. So yes, your goal may be right now to finish an associate's degree, but if we can help you save time and get you the right classes now that will help go toward your future too, that's the best plan overall. Let's see, anything else on there? Anybody have any questions about the worksheet? Because I know it's it looks like a lot to interpret. It's kind of small print. It's the more detailed stuff. So this is for left brain learners more, whereas that yellow sheet is more for right brain learners. Has pictures and it's a nice flow chart. Okay, no questions? Okay, just one more thing on the back of the program planning guide. This is a time of the semester when it's good to talk about this. I've been having students, a few, come to me and say, I don't think I'm going to be able to finish this particular class that I'm in. What can I do? Well, we might want to talk about if it's the right thing to do for you to drop a class. Sometimes it is. If you've gotten too far behind to catch up, then it might be the right thing to do to drop academically. However, we also need to check with this lady in the back that's just come in, Donna Bassam from Financial Aid, because dropping classes can affect your financial aid. Sometimes it's not a tremendously negative impact, but sometimes it could mean paying money back, or it could mean having to do an appeal the next semester to get financial aid again. A plus especially is one that we want to really watch if you're dropping classes, and I'm sure that Donna will share more about that. Other things to consider though, before you drop a class, talk to your instructor. Sometimes, don't panic at midterm if you go in there and you see a class grade is lower than what you thought and you're just sure you can't bring it up at all. Talk to your instructor first, because many times you might just be missing one thing, and if you get that turned in, your grade can turn around. There may still be time to catch up and complete the class successfully. We have tutoring available, lots and lots of free tutoring available right down the hall here in Mountain 112. Lots of hours for math, lots of hours for writing tutoring, a lot of other subject areas, computers, chemistry, biology, all of those things. So, and if they don't have what you're needing, ask them. Say, is there any way that you can find me a political science tutor? I'm sure you're not alone in needing that. And so ask and see if maybe they can get a tutor for the area that you're needing. So, any questions for me? All right, well, just please make sure that you're making your appointment with your advisor. As soon as you get that postcard, or if you look in Grizzly Den and see who your advisor is, you don't have to wait until Ask Week. In fact, if you are assigned to one of us in the AACCESS office, please be making your appointments now. The schedule is available online for us to look at, and so we would love to go ahead and start talking with our advisees. There's no way that I can see all of my advisees in 1 week. So I start now and go through registration time.
Just a reminder that degree planning guide that's indicated the common assignment for all IDS classes. Check with your instructor, but that will need to be filled out if you're planning ahead.
Very good. All right. I'll turn it over to Donna. The schedule for spring is viewable now. They just turned it on yesterday, I think.
I've got this on, so good morning. It's good to see all of you here today. I would like to talk to you about financial literacy. So I hope everyone has an academic planner. If not, you'll be receiving one. And then there is a short survey on financial literacy. If you could, there are a few questions at the beginning of the survey. If you would answer those and then save the last part after the presentation, that way we're trying to measure if there was anything helpful in the presentation. But please do the first part now, and then after the presentation, we'll ask you to do the second part of the survey. Okay, Sarah has. The academic planner that we've distributed is free of charge from Missouri Department of Higher Education. And we try to get these every year. We always try to obtain whatever information that we can to distribute to our students. This one is, I think, exceptionally good because it has a calendar, it has stickers, it will help you as you go through, keeping up with activities at school. But in the middle of this is the part that we want to discuss this morning, financial literacy. All of us need to be aware of financial literacy. There are things that we want to do to budget, save our money. So we're going to walk through some of these things, and I'm just going to hit the high spots. There's going to be more information in here than we'll discuss. So, please take these, and when you have time, go through and look, read. There's some fun things in here, too. As we go through the PowerPoint presentation, they will give you a lot of websites. So don't worry about, well, I can't see that or I didn't catch that, because they are all listed in here, too. Okay? One of the things that we all try to do is to budget our money. So, how do you create a budget? Within the pages 34 and 35 of your academic planner, there's a little outline of one that you might want to use. The, budgets, you want to make them simple. So what you're wanting to look at is the money that you have coming in and then where that money is going. You don't want to make it complicated. So if you take that outline, use it, and then watch it. Give it time. You need to be patient. It's not one of these things where you're going to see fast results. But if you establish a budget and learn to use that budget, then you'll see that you'll be able to save you some money that you can put elsewhere. Do you have a savings plan? If you don't, I would encourage you to do so. I call it the piggy bank philosophy. When you were little, you probably had some type of piggy bank where you kept loose change. Well, you still can do that. A little bit of change will total up over a week, a month, a year. And your goal is to try to save some monies. Put it back and save it. As you read through some of this information, you don't want to graduate and get out and then live as a college student. You want to live as a college student while you are a college student, and then save your money, budget wisely, so that when you do get out, then you get a good job, then you're able to proceed saving your money. Are you familiar with our Career Services Office? If not, I hope you check it out. Alice Smith is our director, but she keeps information available for our students if there's part-time jobs in the community. So, like if you wanted to try to find a part-time job now or maybe during the summer, you might want to check it out. Alice does send out information to your university email about job openings, and so hopefully you have started using your university email. But that could be a resource for you if you'd like to find a part-time or summer job. Do you have a credit report? You may think, well, I don't know. Well, if you've ever applied for a credit card, if you've ever applied for a student loan, if you've applied for an automobile loan, you have a mortgage, you do have a credit report. There are 3 different agencies from whom you can receive one free credit report a year, okay? Now, the credit report is not the same thing as a credit score. If you want to see your credit score, then you have to pay for that part of it. But you can go out on one of the 3 agencies and get a free credit report. Now, what does that credit report tell you? What kinds of information are out there? It will tell people, and I say people, if you have like a government agency that is checking on someone that is, seeking employment, landlords, there's different agencies that can access a credit report on an individual. But one of the things that they can see is, do you make your monthly payments? Do you make them on time? How many credit cards do you have? So it's a pretty good snapshot of an individual. If you have positive things on your credit report, which, like giving some examples, that will stay on there indefinitely. But if you have negative things that occur, it will stay on normally about 7 years. Now, there's some bankruptcies that may stay on there about 10 years. But always keep that in mind that, you are all of these areas where you may be borrowing money, you are creating a credit report for yourself. And how do you improve your credit report? Let's say you just went through some bad times. To improve your credit report, make those payments on time. It's better if you only have one. If you feel like you have to have a credit card, one is enough. If you have more than one credit card, you always want to keep the one that you have the oldest, even though you want to keep it active. You may not, if you borrow, you want to pay back on that card. But there are some things like that that will help improve your credit score. We're all familiar with this one, aren't we? It seems like on the news all the time we hear of someone who has had their identity stolen, or even individuals that you know. I know my daughter, about a month ago, she called me frantically and said, someone stole my purse. Well, the main thing we start thinking about is her identity. Well, hers turned out fortunate. She had been out walking, and whoever had stolen it out of her car, they'd broken into her car and discarded it. But anyway, it was retrieved, and that was good. But there for a minute, we were like, okay, now what does she do? What do you do? Well, you want to be proactive, for sure. You want to, and you already know some of this, you don't want to carry your Social Security card with you. You want to keep it in a secure place. You want to shred information that is personal, that has identifying information on it. You want to be aware, if somebody calls you, be cautious about what you tell them on the telephone, because some of these people are just real slick, for another word to say it. And before you, if you're not being cautious, you might tell them something before you think about it. So always, be aware. And, like I said, this isn't new, but it's just something I think we just have to deal with anymore. How do you finance your education? Now we're getting into the things that I feel more comfortable talking about. Whenever you're going to college, you are incurring a cost. It costs to go to school. Your tuition, your books, your transportation, that type of thing. So there are resources there to help you, though. And I hope all of you are familiar with the FAFSA, the Free Application for Federal Student Aid. and I hope you apply. There's no charge to apply. But what the purpose of that FAFSA is to show resources through the federal government and through the state government. And a lot of times that FAFSA is needed when you apply for scholarships that may be looking at your unmet need. But at any rate, if you need to remember on that FAFSA, you have to reapply every year. So if you've already applied for your FAFSA now, if you haven't, I'd say do it right now. If you've already applied for your FAFSA now, you applied on the 2013-2014 FAFSA because they run the academic year, or fall, spring, summer. Come January 1, the new FAFSA will be out there, 2014-2015. So the earlier you can fill that out, the better. There's some programs that will have deadlines. Now, whenever you're ready to file the FAFSA, Missouri State West Plains, we've participated in what they call the FAFSA Frenzy. I think this is our 4th year. But what it is, March the 1st, it's on a Saturday, we open up Live-Wire, and we have volunteers, individuals from the financial aid office, high school counselors, other individuals that volunteer their time, and we make ourselves available if you want to come in, use the computers and Live-Wire to file your FAFSA. Sometimes it just helps, to have somebody there, or just kind of look over your shoulder, or just, we don't hover over you. We let you ask the questions. But put that on your calendar. Now, the last year we were able to have free tax service available through VITA, and we're going to attempt to do that this time. But what that would mean, and we'll have to get the times for it, you have individuals available that will help you file your taxes at no charge. So another good benefit from it. Okay, we talked a little, and like I said, I could talk a whole lot about financial aid, but I'm just going to hit the high spots because I have other topics on this financial literacy that I want to talk to you about. But through the FAFSA, the federal programs, you have your Pell Grant, you have your Stafford loans, you have your campus-based programs, work study, and the SEOG grant. There's also programs through the state of Missouri, the MDHE state programs, and they have an excellent website. We have a book that we make available called The Source, but there are programs through them, like the AACCESS Missouri, the state grant, has an April 1st deadline that you want to apply on your FAFSA. So don't overlook those programs. Institutional scholarships is another source. If you can receive a scholarship, that will sure be a lot better than having to borrow money for on a student loan. So our scholarship deadline for the majority of our scholarships is March 31st. So right now, if you go out to our website, the 2014-2015 scholarship application is there available, and you can apply now on it for the next school year. So be aware of that. Excuse me. Don't overlook any outside scholarships. You can go to the web and do all kinds of searches, and there are good scholarships out there, but just be wary of anything that wants to charge you a cost to apply for an outside scholarship. Student loans. Stafford loans are available through the federal government to help with paying for your education. It is a loan, though, and you need to realize that. There are 2 types of Stafford loans. There's ones we call the subsidized Stafford loans, and then there's the unsubsidized Stafford loan. If it's subsidized, that means the government will pay that interest for you while you're enrolled at least half time in college. If it's unsubsidized, then that means that's a loan that is not based on need. It's still a government loan, but the student is responsible for that interest while they are enrolled. So 2 different loans, 2 different programs, still part of this federal Stafford loan program. When you decide that you want a student loan, you are signing a master promissory note with the government. You are saying, I will repay this loan. So make sure you understand, make sure you read. If you have any questions at all about either of these loans, give us a call or stop by, and we'll be happy to answer your questions on those. There's different, I know this is too early right now, but there's different repayment plans on these loans. So at the point that if you do have a student loan and then you are making those payments, you need to check those options out. You will automatically be set up on a standard repayment option, but there are different ones. Some of them will look at your income and they'll base it income based, so always remember that. The last bullet that we have on the PowerPoint, and I don't know if you can see it very well, it's really light, but the National Student Loan Data System, NSLDS.gov, is a site where you can keep up with if you are borrowing student loans, keep up with how much you owe, keep up with the interest, who's holding that loan. It's also, you can look at your Pell Grant eligibility. There is a lifetime eligibility now on Pell Grants. Your Pell Grant can be received through the completion of your bachelor program, but there are limits on how much a student can receive on that. There's limits on Stafford loans also. Of course, those have been there for several years, but the LEU, or the lifetime eligibility usage on Pell, has just been something that's come around within the last couple of years. When you take out a Stafford loan, you want to borrow only what you need, okay? There are annual amounts that we would package for a student, but if you don't need that much, you can reduce it. When you leave college, we hope that you will not leave with a large debt, because that is, like I said, money you have to repay. And one of the downfalls of the student loans, and I know you hear this on the news a lot, is that you'll hear people say, well, I had so much, I just can't pay it. Then the former student will go into a default status, and then all kinds of things happen if a student defaults on a student loan. It affects your credit rating. Remember earlier I had said that is one thing that would create a credit rating for you. But it also, the government, that debt does not go away. They can garnish your wages. They can garnish any Social Security benefits that you have. If you have a federal tax refund and sometimes state tax refund, they can garnish that if you had a refund from them. So there's just all these red flags. If you are continuing on in college, it can prevent you from receiving further financial aid, federal financial aid. So be very, very cautious on what you borrow. Keep your budgeting in mind, and then be aware of the pitfalls. Credit cards. We want to be very cautious with credit cards. Sometimes it seems like they tend to push them a lot at college students, or apply for this, apply for that. But you are borrowing money. Do you really need it? Some of the things you need to keep in mind is if you do have a credit card, only borrow what you can pay back with monthly. So keep that in check. They'll set a limit on what you borrow, but you need to keep that budgeting wisely philosophy in that part too. You want to compare credit cards. You want to look at the best benefit. Sometimes it can be a big range of differences in those. Recommendation for wise borrowing: keep and use just one credit card, and then don't spend more than you can repay in a monthly time. Now there's some websites, as I mentioned earlier. This is a very helpful one, www.bankrate.com, that can help give you some information on that. Whenever you have a little time in between class, or you're just, feeling bored, there are some websites that are listed in here that it's fun to do, but it's also some activities that hopefully you can learn some good financial skills, wise borrowing. But there's actually two of them in there. There's one, Visa and the National Football League they got together and they came up with a financial literacy tool of a type of game that you can play and then learn from. The soccer, there's one on soccer, so there's a lot of websites listed there that I think would be very, helpful and fun to you. I think Sarah accessed a couple of them just to see what all was involved. Okay, and then do you have a realistic goal of the salary you'll make when you graduate? Another good part of this, there is a chart where they took the top 30 jobs in Missouri and they've listed those in a general salary. Now these top 30 professions, some of them are involving college and some are not. So you may not see your particular field there, but you can go to that Missouri Connections website and then do some more looking and find your particular area. But I think that's kind of a neat thing just to see. Of course, the salaries that they give would be depending on the area that you live in and other categories like that. But it's another interesting thing that I think you could enjoy. And in summary, hopefully there'll be something that we touched on that will help you. If you have any questions, you can, feel free to stop by, and I'll be happy to sit down with you one-on-one and talk to you about different, whether it be financial aid or budgeting or that type of thing. We want our students to be informed. We want to help you. We want you to succeed. Okay? Does anyone have any questions right now? Okay. If you don't have any questions, would you please fill out that last part of our survey, and then we'll collect that. Oh, yes. Please put your name in the upper right-hand corner. Thank you. Okay. Now, let's see if I can get this up there.